Okay, let's focus in on what's happening with respect to the economy, the macros. Maithili Bhusnumath is also joining us to take the conversation forward. Maithili, over to you.
Well, we're also joined right now by Alok Sheel, who is the RBI Chair Professor at ICRIER. Alok, welcome to the show. Now that I think we have all accepted that there is a slowdown, the slowdown is here and it is for real. How should we look at the slowdown? As something that is cyclical and so relatively easier to tackle, or something that is deeper and more structural? What is your interpretation? How do you read the slowdown, Alok?
Well, thank you, Maithili. The slowdown, I think, is more structural than cyclical. Well, we've seen declining growth over the last 5 quarters. But if you go back, the economy has not fully recovered from the slowdown which began towards the end of UPA 2. If you see the economy as comprising 3 major engines of growth, that is investment, consumption and exports. Earlier, when the economy was growing robustly, you had all 3 engines firing. But over the last several years, the export and the investment engines have shut down and we are in a 1-engine economy. So it is, I think, a structural problem for which you need structural solutions rather than macroeconomic policy, which would help, but ultimately it is the structural factors which have to be addressed.
So Alok, if I were to accept your argument, if it is a structural problem, then monetary policy really cannot do anything very much. If at all, it is fiscal policy that can do something. So is it wrong to expect so much from monetary policy? Is it dangerous? And is it now over to the government and fiscal policy to do something? Alok?
See, fiscal policy is still not, structural reform. Fiscal policy and monetary policy are in a sense 2 sides of the same coin. They're both macroeconomic policies and both are designed to address cyclical problems, to stabilize the economy cyclically. But if there are deeper structural problems, I think neither can on their own do the heavy lifting.
But the problem, Alok, really is that we need something now. The economy is hurting now, and given that we are a democracy and we have such a large section of our population below poverty line, we need to do something here and now. Whereas structural solutions will take time. So in the interim, can we afford to sit it out, or should we do something, and if so, what?
No, definitely there is a role for macroeconomic policies. And especially, as you said, fiscal policy, because, in fact, you need both monetary policy and fiscal policy to work in tandem. And monetary policy is in counter-cyclical mode, but I don't see fiscal policy still being in counter-cyclical mode. If you look at the projected fiscal deficit, it is practically the same as in the last financial year.
So are you in fact agreeing with me and saying that there is a case for some kind of fiscal loosening? Is that the advice that we'd give to Nirmala Sitharaman, that you would like to give her, saying that loosen up a little bit on the purse strings and spend on the right kind of things, infrastructure, road building, railways? These are issues, areas where there are huge externalities. Would that be your advice to the finance minister, who's meeting so many constituents in a bid to try and find a solution? What would your answer be, Alok?
See, Maithili, the fiscal deficit projected in the budget is 3.3%. But this is calculated on a very optimistic, revenue mobilization target, which has not considered the DGA's provisional actuals. So if you were to work with the DGA's provisional actuals, then the fiscal deficit is nearer 4.3% as it is.
Okay. So not much scope for fiscal loosening is the verdict from Alok. With that, it's over to you, Karunya. Thank you so much, Alok, for joining us.
Yeah, Maithili, since you're already there, before we let you go, I just want to get in your perspective at how the IIP is also shaping up. Because if we look at the poll, it's seen at 1.4% versus 3.1% for, 3.1% in the month of May. Economists are also estimating a range between 0.5 to 2.5%. What is the sense you're getting? And even the core sector numbers are looking fairly poor.
Yes, the core sector numbers were very dismal. So I wouldn't be surprised if the IIP number does come in as low as what the poll suggests. And that would be one more reason for Nirmala Sitharaman to look sharp and do something about it. The unfortunate part is that whatever you do, in fact, I here feel that fiscal policy is better, it's more effective and more immediate and can be directed in a way that monetary policy cannot. So even if the government were to do it, it will take us some time before the economy recovers. External factors are not helping at all. We've seen China and the US getting increasingly more belligerent. We're also seeing now that the political situation in the subcontinent has changed a little bit. There are geopolitical concerns. So altogether, I think we are in for tough times. The only thing the government can do is make a beginning. The longer they dither, the longer they take time to take a decision, I'm afraid the pain will just increase. So let's see what Nirmala Sitharaman finally comes up with, because we do need to find some answers. The economy is clearly hurting.
Absolutely. Thanks much for sharing us your perspective on the IIP as well, Maithili.